Hey, it's Cody. I'm hopping on here. I had a video idea. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I'm not really exactly sure how to put it. Um, so I figured that I'd just get on here and kind of see if I could just would come out like and get across what I'm trying to get across here. So what I want to do is I have some more advanced decks, and I just want to talk a little bit about how I use them, right? People are like, oh, I use this deck for this or that or whatever. I have some decks that I feel like I kind of don't use for exactly any of that stuff. I mean, I could be totally wrong. But a lot of times, I'm really nosy. I like to see other people's practices. I want to like know the nitty gritty so that I can steal good things that I feel like would go in my practice and I could just put in there, you know? So I do urge you to do that if you see anything in here that you're like, hell yeah, I could do that with this deck or, you know, whatever. Please do it. Like, steal my ideas. Do it. Um, I do have to say really quick, this video comes with a piggy warning. On cold days, I have to film the videos, like, in not my favorite place, not the best lighting. You see it's kind of shadowy here, it's weird. I don't know if you can hear him right now bitching. I have pet pigs. They have a room that's connected to this one that I'm in right now, and they sound like literal monsters, like growling and roaring at each other and shit. So if you hear bizarre monster noises, it's pigs. I made a weird decision for myself when I first moved into this house. There's a sunroom. I was like, fuck yeah, this is gonna be super cool for me to put my altar in because it's almost basically like it's outside. Well, the issue is that it is basically like it's outside. So when it's like 9 degrees Fahrenheit outside, it's like 12 inside the sunroom. So yeah, days that are too damn cold, I'm in a different room and you might hear pigs, dogs clacking around, just bullshit. And if it's distracting, I'm sorry. Hopefully it's not too bad. All right. So, my first deck is, you might have seen this one on here. I've mentioned it before. This is the Weaver's Oracle, by Carolyn Hillier. This is an independently published deck. I'll put a link down in the description, so that you can see where to get it. I will warn you, it's pricey. It's coming from somewhere in the UK, so it's got that kind of shipping on top of it if that's not where you are. So this, I think, is probably one of my more, I say complex, not that it's difficult to understand, it just has a lot of depth, maybe. Maybe depth is a better word. So, I've thought about talking about this deck in like its own video, but I don't really know if I feel like doing that. So it's got this guidebook that is absolutely amazing. It's got almost like a myth written, that the creator has written about each of these cards. It's just, this is really, well, I don't want to say necessarily that it's just where the deck shines, because the cards are so fucking beautiful. Let me get this out of the way so we can look at the cards. It comes in this little bag and stuff here. It's Weaver's Oracle, right? So the backs of the cards are like a tapestry. So these cards are so just evocative of so many things. I think there was another video, I don't remember where it was, but I read the guidebook story for that card. And the way that the guidebook is written so that it's like a myth just leaves you able to pull a lot of things out of it. Like, there is no way I would ever draw more than one card for this, from this deck. Like, it's not the kind of shit you'd bust out and, you know, do a Celtic cross. Massive cards, but they're, I don't know how to explain the finish on them. Oh my god, this one scares me to death. Weathered Woman of the Skin Mask. I have yet to draw this one. I'm gonna shit myself when I do someday. So when I'm using this deck, alright, when I draw one card, it takes me a while to really process what the story is saying to me. So what I started out doing was each new moon, I would draw one of these cards and read the story that goes with her. Okay, this is the one card that I hate in this deck. Go away, kid. Okay, well, I have my tarot journal with me here. God, this table is not as big as I want. I want this table to be bigger. Alright, you know what, let me just find a page here. So I'll show you a page of how I do this. If I can find one here. Fuck. Alright. So, this was for the new moon, just November 25th or ish, right? So I used two pages for this. I don't know if there's anything like weirdly private, so unless you want to know some really fucking weird shit, probably just skip trying to read that. Yeah, I make a copy of the card. I don't have like my printer's also like a copy thing, but mine doesn't let you make the card smaller. It doesn't make you, let you make it like a smaller percentage. Like it's always going to be 100%. So this big ass card has to go in here. So then how I deal with it is I go through the myth and I sort of just write down quotes from the guidebook that I think are really the heart of what this card is saying. So, alright, here's a quote. Then at last the Sorrow Sisters understood that they did not need to carry their tears alone, but would always be drawn home, sister next to sister, through the sad songs of Drift and Hollow to the blessing of the Echo Tree. Right? So this card was kind of about sharing grief and the comfort that comes just from knowing that you're not alone in it. Right? So yeah, it's so much to think about and how it's applying to your life. And then I keep this other card. Alright, each card, I don't know if you noticed in the guidebook, it'll have the title on the card, Lament, the Illuminating Woman. But then in the guidebook, it will additionally give her another name, right? She pours the light into the blessing songs. So I put that up there just so that information's in there for me. So then, I was, for a while there, just doing this on new moons. Then a couple months ago, I decided I'd like to draw more cards from this deck. So I started doing it at new and full moons. Sort of things that are, things that are waxing, things that are waning, what to concentrate on for this time. It's actually kind of a lot, and I might just go back, to doing only new moons. But so I go back and I talk about, my reflections on how I feel like these themes were present in my life during this time, right? This one's only for 2 weeks. I've got full moon ones in here. Okay, here's the one just from the last full moon, right? And here's my empty page for the new moon to sort of reflect back on it. This kind of work will only work with a deck that's just really got deep, like, really, really deep meanings. You're not gonna just be able to grab, like, no offense, but like a Hay House, Oracle deck, like the old ones that were just like one stupid ass word, like clarity, abundance. Yeah, those aren't gonna work for this, right? The deck that you would use for this kind of work is gonna really have to have depth, just in order to work, right? To work this way. For me personally, I don't know, man. Sometimes life is just, I don't even know. A lot of times I feel like some of the depth has like drained out of decks for me. I think it's a me problem. I don't think it's got anything to do with like the actual decks, but I feel like it's been years since I found a deck that I really felt like had the depth that the Weaver's Oracle has. So that's why I'm using this deck for this work. So yeah, that is how I actually work with the Weaver's Oracle. I'm such a huge fan of this deck. This deck was gifted to me by one of my best friends, and this is just such a magical deck. I love every one of these cards except for that little girl with the braids. I thought about pulling her out, but this deck is too, like, sacred. I feel like I can't take anything out of it. You know, it's gonna fuck it up, so we'll put her back away. I keep it in its box. It's got a really nice box, I think. Let's get these guys out of here. Alright, my next deck, this might surprise people to even see that I own this deck. This is, oh shit, the light. Ocean Dreams, A Mystic Oracle by Danielle Noel. So this one, I think, came out in, like, spring of this year, 2022. I could be wrong. It's got a little damage here, but it came like that. This was one I had kind of looked at, and I was like, water energy is the element that I struggle connecting with the most. I don't really know why. So I looked at pictures of this, and I was like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of interesting. You know, I like to, like, fantasize about myself doing things, like, with a deck. If I had this deck, I would do this, or I'd be like this. And then I just moved on from it. But it was probably, I don't know, a few months after it came out. It came up in one of those secondhand buy-sell trade deck groups. And I was like, oh shit, do I need that? Like, is this just looking at me? So I said to myself, okay, decks move pretty quick in those sometimes. So I was like, alright, well, if it's still there on Friday, if it's still available, then I'll get it. So as you can see, it was still available on Friday. I got this for like $30. Just a wild steal. Alright, so this might not be the best lighting for this pale ass deck. Let's get that out of here, put the guidebook. Okay, I don't know if you've seen this. Celestial Waters. It's Danielle Noel. She did the artwork for the Work Your Light Oracle, and I think the Starseed Oracle. She's done the Star Child and Moon Child Tarot. I feel like those decks are popular enough. You probably recognize, you know, this style. So, a couple months ago now, I got a book, something about, moon magic or something. I don't know. It had you starting out each new moon with, like, an affirmation. And I had this deck. For the most part, I just like to get this deck out and look at it. I'll tell you how I tried to work with it. Maybe if I was a different person it would work, but for me it's actually kind of annoying me. But it's a me thing. It's definitely a me thing. Also, it murders me because this guy specifically is in a card. I think it's in the Work Your Light Oracle. And I recognize him, and I'm like, oh my god, fuck. If you have the deck, you'll know. You'll be like, yeah, that's the guy from whatever. Alright, I don't even know why I'm talking about that. The point is, I was trying to come up with affirmations. I struggle with coming up with things like, I am worthy, or, you know, my life is abundant. I'm not that kind of fucking person. So, I thought to myself, what decks do I have that, like, have affirmations? I'm not about to buy a fucking affirmation deck. I'll just tell you that straight up. So I was like, what kind of deck do I have that might have something like that, or something that I could sort of translate into some sort of affirmation in the guidebook? And I realized that the Ocean Dreams Oracle kind of does. So if we get in here, it'll say here, alright, Divine Spiral, Blueprint of Life, Greater Outlook. Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio. Okay, I'm expanding my perspective. I see the bigger picture. I'm an ever-blooming spiral of miracles. So this little part here, well, that one was pretty good, actually, but some of them are just, I'm not really into. I'm an ocean of wisdom. I'm able to discern what is true for me and see beyond the 3D. I choose to believe. Okay. It lost me at seeing beyond the 3D. I don't think that I live in, like, the Matrix or some bullshit, so, you know, they're not perfect, but I do feel like I can kind of work with these to change them, right? So if I drew, where'd it go? This, might be able to say I'm an ocean of wisdom. I'm able to discern what is true for me and see beyond people's bullshit, right? So it works. It definitely works. I like the cards. I like how they look. Usually it's the guidebook that fucks me up on these Danielle Noel decks. Even though I'm aware that Work Your Light and Starseed Oracle were written by, what, I think Rebecca Campbell? Did I make that up? I don't know. The decks were, like, created and the guidebooks written by somebody else. Jesus. Somebody else. But I like the artwork. I feel like especially these darker ones just look really nice on my altar. Like, I wish I lived in this castle, and I don't even care about mermaids. So I feel like there's some really deep places a person could go with this deck. With the guidebook, or even without it. So, what I was saying earlier and completely forgot about, this book, that I was working with, it was kind of about affirmations and intentions and things like that. I'm not really an intention setter for things like moon cycles. I don't know. I don't have something that I want to happen every 2 or 4 weeks that much. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too passive or something. I don't know. I'm not always, like, working on something, you know? So that's why I went the affirmation route. So new moons, I've been drawing a card from this. The problem is I did end up stopping just because, I think this is my favorite card in here, just because I feel like every new moon was turning into a lot for me, and it was starting to, like, feel overwhelming. So, like, I always have a new moon reading, right? So I'll do my new moon reading, put it in the journal. Draw, I have to reflect on my Weaver's Oracle draw from the full moon or the previous new moon, and, you know, write about that. Then I need to draw my new one and go through the guidebook and write down the relevant parts. And then also doing this on top of it. It was feeling like a lot. I made some... The pages that I made in my journal for this shit are so ugly. I promise. That's just the ugliest shit. Fuck. Where'd it go? Oh my god, where's the last time I even did it? Hold on. Like, I don't want everyone to see all of my shit in here, but, like, at the same time... Oh, okay. Atrocious. Right? So, I drew the restful pause. I'm not confined by time. I can return to myself at any moment. Like, that's good, right? This was word for word what was in the guidebook for it, so I like that. You know, it's holiday season right now, which is my fucking least favorite part of the year. I hate everything about it. So I feel like I can return to myself at any moment. It's a good thing for me to remember, right? I don't know. I feel like this is one of those practices that's probably gonna just be on and off. I'll do it for a few months, and I'm not gonna. Well, I don't know. At this moment, right now, I don't plan on doing this again for the next full moon, new moon. I mean, but I mean, I might change my mind and be like, no, you know what? I do like having this. Sometimes I kind of put it so that it's like, shit, where's my other page? So that it's, almost in line with what Weaver's Oracle card that I've drawn too. You know, how those two ideas can interconnect. I don't know. I like it, but also it feels like a lot, and it's kind of stressing me out. And as soon as shit that I'm doing starts stressing me out, I stop, because life is stressful enough without me adding bullshit to it. This is also my page for the Endless Oracle, so a little sneak peek of that. Alright, so let me put this lady back away. The Ocean Dreams. So like I said, I like the practice of it. Sometimes the guidebook kind of pisses me off with, like, seeing beyond 3D. Like, I don't know, man, I do have fucking three-dimensional, like, sight, you know? So that's kind of how humans function, but alright. So, this next deck I want to talk about. I thought about, someone did a video about their weirdest deck and how they work with it. And I thought about putting this one on there, but it's going here instead. So I want to put trigger warning, content warning for, like, pretty much everything here. This is like a trauma-based deck. This is what it sort of addresses. It's what it's about, kind of. I don't know how to explain it. This is one of those decks that's not for everyone. And this is called the Tarot Restless. So I'm talking, you know, self-harm and just sexual assault, just warnings across the board, okay? So if seeing this shit might ruin your day, I'm just gonna do a little wrap up at the end of this. You're not missing anything. Alright, so here we go. The deck has arrived. This is the first edition of the Tarot Restless. Now, this is a deck by Winslow Dumaine. His Instagram name is Calculations. So, before anyone's like, I thought that Winslow Dumaine was a stand-up comedian and the fucking guy behind the Gatorade should be thicker bullshit. Yeah, it is. I'm talking about the same person. Okay, so I don't know what all has been changed. This is an independently, it's an indie deck. I guess all three of them have been, this video. I know that things have changed about this deck. I think we're on, like, 3rd edition or something right now. I believe there's even, like, Zodiac cards and things that go with, like, the newer ones. I just have the old one. So, this deck is set in, like, a post-apocalyptic kind of world. Here's the guidebook that goes with it, called Restless Meditations. And, okay, we'll just look at some of the cards. Sorry, I have to, when I'm sitting here in this place, I, sit on one of my feet, and then it goes the fuck to sleep, and then I always have to, like, rearrange, and that's annoying, and I'm sorry. Okay. So, this has, like, a tarot structure, but it doesn't really have anything to do with cards, actual tarot cards, right? It's got, like, it's major arcana, and then there's 4 suits. It's called a Tarot Restless, but I wouldn't really classify this as a tarot deck. It's so far removed from any sort of, like, traditional meanings of any sort, right? So stars, I don't even know. Stars might be coins-ish. So, I use this deck for, like, shadow work, right? Or if there's some sort of, like, guilt or, like, shame, this deck is really very much about those things. And the guidebook is just, each card is a little short story. This deck is set, like I said, post-apocalyptic, right? There's been a curse put on humanity, and they're no longer fertile, right? But also you don't die, I think. So you're just, like, trapped here. And these stories, you know, and it's always, you know, something terrible has been done to someone. And I mean, of course, you as the reader, it's up to you to decide if you're the person who has had this done to you, or if you've done this to the person. I mean, and they're fantastical stories. I don't know, man. I'm thinking about reading one. I should have prepared one of these ahead. I should have, like, looked for one that was reasonable to read on here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's a major. It's called The Tower. Here, alright, well, we'll look at the Six of Wands. It's usually a positive card, so just maybe it will be reasonable in here. What did I say? Oh, Wands. Sigrid the Candlekeeper. Proper motherhood, motherly devotion, and being apart from one's family. Inverted darkness, searching for the lost, and non-romantic heartache. Alright, I don't know how bad this is going to be, so I'll just... Upon discovering their plans to escape his kingdom, Ulrod, the low and cruel king, banished Sigrid and her 5 daughters to the caves beneath the castle dungeon. In an ostentatious display of his false clemency, each was given a candle to light their way along the grease-slicked cave floors. The candles flickered a pallid glow and could scarcely illuminate Sigrid or her daughters, let alone the countless deep pits throughout the expanse. To keep them burning, Sigrid and her daughters built them up with plague fats that pulsed from strange orifices plumbed in the cave walls. Over years of wandering the caves, each of Sigrid's daughters fell into the pits, one by one, vanishing into the blackness. Here, Sigrid contemplates her extinguished candles, her body unrecognizably disfigured from years of blind stumbling. Her daughters still call to her from below, their wails echoing through the caverns. This card tells of reconnection with families, whether they're blood-related or old friends. It's a sign of motherhood and motherly love for one's offspring. Inverted, this card implies literal darkness and a search for the lost. Those who draw this card should brace for the pangs of heartache, just not from someone with whom they are romantically involved. Okay, so normally, holy shit, the Six of Wands is like success that other people are noticing. But this just, holy shit, like, that just made my stomach drop, like, hearing that, right? Horrible. So then, when you draw this card, who are you, right? Are you Ulrod, the low and cruel king, right? Who's, you know, have you done something that has caused this? Are you Sigrid? I don't know, it might not be how you say it, but that's what I'm saying. You know, are you one of the daughters calling from below for someone to come and save them? There's so much to think about with this deck. And this deck fucks me up on every single time I use it. I mean, I just read that. I didn't even, like, actually draw this card, but I'm going to be thinking about that, for days. So, the way that I use this deck is sometimes, I don't know, man, fucked up shit happens, and either I'm on the receiving end of it, or I'm the person that did it, and sometimes seeing this, you can kind of fit, you know, your own stories on top of that. You know, you can layer your own experiences on top of that little short story in here, right? So it turns into a thing where sometimes it helps you sort of zoom out and look at a situation in a different way. So, yeah, that was depressing. I feel bad to end the video on that note. I think this is a major. Look at this. I simultaneously love it and hate it. So, I'll link all 3 of these decks where you can get them below. Like I said, this Tarot Restless was 1st edition. I don't know what all has been changed, but I do know some things are different about it in the subsequent editions. So, alright, so those were 3 of my more, I said complex, maybe deeper, might be a better word to use for that. Just the kind of things you can contemplate for longer, I feel like. And that's how I use them within my practice. So if you've got any decks, you want to very, specifically show, I'd love to see them. Because like I said at the beginning of the video, I like to steal other people's ideas and roll them into my practice if I feel like it's something that might help me, so. Alright, thanks for watching, bye!